Greetings and welcome to the Spiritual Awareness Journey program, a virtual spiritual talk platform where the practical application of all things spiritual in our daily living is shared and discussed by experienced speakers from all walks of life, as well as our special guests who are realized souls called Mahatmas. This hour is brought to you by the Manav Dharam YouTube channel. I am your host, Janvi Nanda, and we are delighted to welcome you from all around the world to spend the next hour with us as we address this week's topic, compassion. On today's program, we are delighted to host our experienced panel, our two speakers, Ms. Arpana Padarat and Mrs. Pratima Jamling Rai, as well as our special guest, Mahatma Suvidya Baiji, who will address this episode's topic of compassion. Our speakers will be sharing their insights, their experiences, and their understanding with us of this virtue that is innately in all beings, which has profound and positive impacts on the lives of others, our own lives, and all beings. Compassion has a potential to not only uplift one, but also to bring healing, restore wellness, and even save the lives of those receiving such unconditional acts of kindness. We will also expound on its spiritual effects on us humans. We humans, as the spiritual beings experiencing this human existence, have the ability to connect with our true essence, which in reality is our original spiritual source. And we, by the compassion of those enlightened presences with deep spiritual understanding, can receive this spiritual knowledge, by which we can attain a state of wholeness and to achieve a higher state of consciousness. Opening our hearts and minds, we gain the capacity to empathize with others and reaching out to them without any imposed condition. To assist in their needs is the epitome of compassion. We are our brother's keepers. Belonging to this one race, the human race, we humans connecting with each other from heart to heart have the ability to synchronize and raise our vibration in a most positive and pure state of presence, which allows us to see others as ourselves. We hope this hour will inspire you all to seek that higher state of awareness and to receive that spiritual knowledge, and become conscious as a spiritual being connecting with our own true self, forge a true connection with our spirit and soul to start our own practical spiritual awareness journey, and consciously expanding in our spiritual potentials, find peace, joy, and bliss whilst here on earth, and reaching our full potential, journeying together as the one race, attain our true goal, a spiritual enlightened world. We are honoured to start the programme with our first speaker of the day, Ms. Arpana Padarat from Mauritius. Ms. Arpana is presently working as an administrative officer at the World Hindi Secretariat, an organisation of the Government of India and Government of Mauritius. She has a master's in business administration and has been working with people of different age groups, as she has also worked as an educator in both school and college. She is an active member of the Manav Dharam Seva Samiti Mauritius and has a keen interest in all aspects of spirituality. Here we have now sharing her words is Ms. Arpana. Thank you.
Thank you, Janvi. Greetings to all of you, and thanking you for joining us on the 7th episode of the Spiritual Awareness Journey. First of all, I would like to wish all the mothers present on this platform a very happy Mother's Day, as Mother's Day will be celebrated in the United States tomorrow and will also be celebrated in Mauritius on the last Sunday of this month. So a very happy Mother's Day to all mothers present here. When we speak of mother, the very first quality which comes into our mind, the very first word which qualifies the mother is compassion. And as Janvi has already informed, the topic of today's episode is on compassion. Compassion. Compassion is a word which we all have heard about, is a word which we all have read about. Compassion. Compassion is a word which sounds so beautiful just by listening to it. So what do we understand by the term compassion? Compassion is our nature. And if compassion is our nature, anger cannot be our creation. Hurting people cannot be our sanskar. and worry cannot be our creation as well. So, compassion is understanding the other person. Compassion means empathizing on what the other person is going through. Compassion is also seeing and understanding what the other person is going through without us losing our inner calmness. Compassion is also a quality which defines God. Compassion is divine. Words like universal love, kindness, mercy, empathy, non-violence, as Mahatma Gandhi would say, are all synonyms to compassion. In the present time we are living in, where most countries around the globe have been affected by the coronavirus, by the COVID-19, never ever has humanity felt the need for compassion as we are in this present time. This pandemic has made people to develop compassion towards humanity. Neighbors come to the help of those who have been isolated. People, families, friends, or strangers all support the frontline workers, such as doctors, nurses, healthcare personnel, police officers, or all those whose responsibilities have kept them at risk with this virus. We admirable acts of compassion and empathy can be seen around the globe during this COVID time. We all have heard about how this virus is spreading in India, but we also have heard lots of and read lots of acts of how people are developing compassion towards humanity. 3 days ago, I read about a young saint in Uttarakhand in India from the organization Manav Uthan Seva Samiti, who has risked his life and brought a COVID patient to the hospital for treatment. That COVID patient was a complete stranger for him. However, he brought him to the hospital. Unfortunately, the patient died during the treatment at the hospital. And his very own family refused to take the dead person from the mortuary to perform his last rites. However, the saint who didn't care for his life took the dead body from the mortuary for cremation. At that time also, he called for the person's family to come and do the cremation. But the family, the very own family, didn't care for that person and they refused to do the cremation. But that young saint, without caring for his own life, bought a PPE kit and went to the mortuary, took the dead person, and performed the cremation for him. One must show compassion in order to receive compassion. When showing compassion to human beings, you are showing love and kindness to God. As I've said earlier, compassion is divine. We are all children of God. We are all connected and rooted to God, to that divine energy. We all have that divine energy within ourselves. Therefore, compassion should be in our thoughts, should be in our actions, and should be in our words. Many persons believe that compassion is not for the strong ones. However, compassion is not a weakness. Compassion is the practice of love and kindness. Our actions are soft. Human beings, let's take an example of a fruit, of a ripe mango. Just as the mango is soft and tender outside and the seed is strong inside, similarly, we human beings should be like the ripe mango. We should be soft, gentle, kind externally, but as strong as the seed of a fruit internally. Therefore, compassion can never be a weakness for anyone. When you act strongly, the reaction from the other person will also be strong. But when you act with compassion, it will obviously cool down the other person. I would like to share a personal experience based on what I've just said. Some years ago, the relationship which I shared with my superior at work was quite tense due I would say, due to personality clashes, differences of opinions. For nearly 1 year, I have always replied back with anger. I have always been harsh in my words, which have ultimately made my superior to be on her nerves. He or she would always look for opportunities to create problems for me, to malign my character, to make things hard for me. But recently, with the practice of meditation and under the guidance of a living master who himself is an embodiment of compassion and who has taught me the techniques of meditation, I realized that I need to bring some changes within myself. I need to bring changes in my behavior. So I decided to ignore him completely. And whenever there was need to talk to him, I started talking with him with more compassion. So, with being more compassionate, now stop reacting in the way he used to do. I would like to say that when you act with compassion, you will ultimately receive compassion. Just as the proverb goes, as you sow, so shall you reap. I would say that if you sow compassion, you will ultimately reap compassion. Also, I would like to add that it is equally important for us to first of all develop compassion for oneself first and then to others. Compassion. Compassion means to be loved and kind. Compassion may be expressed verbally, physically, mentally, as well as spiritually. Being polite, being courteous, being helpful, these are all acts of compassion. As I've said, compassion can be expressed verbally through the use of nurturing and encouraging words. For example, if a child does something good, a good action, always encourage him or her. Always show some words of appreciation towards him or her. This will always help the child to be a better one. Human beings are like plants. They need to be nurtured. They need to be nurtured with compassion to grow, to bloom. Physically, compassion can be practiced through acts of love and kindness. A simple act of kindness can turn an ordinary day into an exemplary one. One act of kindness can push someone's life in a positive direction. Further, as I've said, that compassion can also be expressed mentally. How do we express compassion mentally? It can be in the form of gently guiding others in any field, especially those who are in need of it. Simple gestures can make a big difference in someone's life. Compassion can also be expressed spiritually. On the spiritual level, it can be, it means to be blessing others, especially those who really need them. I would like to share a small story based on compassion. The story goes like this. Once, Prophet Muhammad, who was leaving for prayers along with his followers on a Ramadan day, he was quite far from the mosque he used to go and was getting late for his prayers. On his way to the mosque, he came across an orphan child who was walking barefoot and who was in torn clothes. As it is the tradition for any person to wear new clothes on specific or auspicious occasions, Prophet Muhammad asked the child whether he has a new cloth to wear. The child nodded and replied that he has only this cloth and nothing more. Understanding the child's plight, Prophet Muhammad took the child to the nearest shop to buy him a pair of slippers and a new cloth. On his way, his followers kept telling him that they were getting late for the prayer. They were getting late for the prayer. But Prophet Muhammad did not say anything. He got the child a new cloth and a new pair of slippers, and the child was very happy. Prophet Muhammad then explained to his followers that what he did for the child, even though he was getting late, was of greater importance, was his greatest prayer. His prayers for Ramadan was not of that great importance from what he did as an act of compassion. Hence, we can see that compassion is divine, as I've said earlier. In Hinduism also, during the churning of the ocean by gods and demons, both nectar and poison came out of the ocean. And everyone, all the gods and demons, wanted to drink the nectar, and no one thought about the poison. And if the poison was left like this could have destroyed all the creations, as the poison was a great threat to humanity, to the world. So Lord Shiva, out of compassion, swallowed the poison in order to save all the living beings. All religions, be it Hinduism, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Sikhism, all preaches compassion. All religions have claimed that you cannot confine compassion just to your own kind, just to yourself. You have to have a concern for everybody. You have to love your enemies as human beings. You need to honor the stranger. Mahatma Gandhi, as you all know, devoted his life to the practice of truth and compassion. Mahatma Gandhi, who is well known for non-violence, non-injury, as he coined it in the Hindi word ahimsa. This virtue of compassion was innate for him. Non-violence, non-injury can be practiced by the use of harsh and injurious words, by avoiding the use of harsh words and injurious ones. Harsh words can cause deep emotional pain that often takes longer time to be healed compared to a physical injury. A physical wound may take 2 or 3 days to be healed, but a psychological one caused by unwanted remarks, hurting words, can take years to be healed or even may not be healed. We should therefore watch our words so that they do not hurt anyone. If you have to criticize someone for whatsoever reason, do it with love, do it with compassion. You will see that even criticizing with compassion will be more effective, as the other person will be much more receptive. On a concluding note, I would like to say that compassion washes all the impurities of the heart and makes the mind clean. We should therefore practice acts of compassion within our capabilities, within our capacity, to be a better person, to be a better friend, a better partner, a better son or daughter. We must build compassion for both ourselves and for others. Living masters, saints, sages, all have shown equal compassion to every living being in this world. So let us all try to apply compassion in our words, in our actions, and in our thoughts. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Arpana. Your words have definitely inspired some thought inside of me. You mentioned a few points such as compassion exists in us all, it's natural. So we should not let negative tendencies take over, such as anger. Anger is not in our creation. Understanding other people and empathizing is all in our nature. And I particularly like the story you mentioned about Prophet Muhammad, especially as it is Ramadan at the moment. An act of compassion, an act of kindness can be just the same or better than an actual prayer. And then following on your story about Lord Shiva, who drank the poison in order to save all beings as an act of compassion. So a simple act of kindness, like you said, can turn an ordinary day into an exemplary one. Thank you once again, Aradhana, for your very, very inspiring words. Presenting our second speaker, all the way from Siliguri in India, is Dr. Pratima Chamling Rai. Dr. Pratima Chamling Rai is presently the head of the department and assistant professor in the Department of Economics, Balughat College, West Bengal in India. She is associated with her research works in the fields of labor economics, women's studies, and resource and environmental economics. She has been a member of Manav Dharam Seva Samiti since her childhood and is associated with different social works such as mission education and mission medicine through the social organization. Now we have our next speaker, Dr. Pratima.
Thank you very much. Hello and namaste to everyone. I hope you all are fine and staying safe at home, maintaining the COVID protocols. To begin with, every one of us know how the humankind is facing global crisis, perhaps the biggest crisis of our generation. This uncertainty has activated fear and anxiety in our mind, in our body, in our brain. This has compromised our ability to stay calm and balance our thoughts and emotions. Stress is standing to stall on our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And finally, soothing or healing has become the key element in our life. Now, whenever something new happens in our life, we need to take time to adjust ourselves. And it is very important to normalize our emotions and recognize that the whole world is with us in this time of crisis. This can be done through change of our mindsets, and the change of our mindsets is possible through compassion. So here lies the importance of compassion in our life. So today we will be discussing about what compassion is. As we all know that compassion is a natural process. It is the biggest blessings of God on mankind. It is like to be aware about the suffering of another person and responding accordingly. It is like to have a genuine concern for humanity by performing acts of kindness and expecting nothing in return. So it is like behaving with a dignity, with respect, equality, and justice for everyone. We can create a huge difference in this world by performing small acts of compassion. Now, when we listen to this word, the very thing that comes in our mind is the word mother, because mother is an epitome of love and compassion. Unfortunately, tomorrow is International Mother's Day. Therefore, I would like to wish all the mothers in this universe a very happy Mother's Day and thank you for your matchless service rendered for humanity in every field you are entitled to. Actually, we do not need a special day or a date to glorify the value of our mother. But, like the world is so busy and we are engrossed in our busy schedule that sometimes we forget even the date or a day. So it is something very happy to see in the calendar that reminds us about the glory of a mother. We all must learn to become as compassionate as a mother, because compassion is contagious. If you interact with a person compassionately, then he or she will definitely be encouraged to act even more compassionately, and it makes us feel good. Last year during the pandemic, what happened is I have my ancestral house in a very remote area, a small hamlet, a tea garden in the Darjeeling district, state West Bengal, India. Now what happened is unemployment is prevalent in tea gardens. Now the youths there, they have migrated to metropolitan cities in the search of jobs. But during the pandemic, what happened is they had to return back to their native place, and they had to stay for quarantine. And the living conditions in the tea gardens is really poor. So I thought of lending my helping hands to them. And after my friends and my neighbors, they saw me helping, they were also encouraged, and they also came with their helping hands. So this is how compassionate attracts compassion, Like this is the power of compassion. We all have cell phones in our hands, and there are so many applications in our cell phones through which we can perform different functions. But for that, we need to charge the batteries of the cell phones every day. In the same manner, we human beings also need to charge the batteries of our life with higher values. The higher values like being in the company of positive people, like-minded people who will uplift us, will give us positive energy. We should practice meditation, practice yoga, and also listen to the inspirational and spiritual discourses that can really enlighten our life. If we are enlightened, then we feel that we all are connected despite of whatever field we belong to, be it industry, be it politics, be it academics. We all are connected, and that is a very satisfying feeling. And if we are enlightened, then we can also shine in the world. Now, my experience of being compassionate is from my sufferings, my hardships, my failures, my downfalls, but also my social works to which I'm associated to, that has taught me to become compassionate. Last year, during the pandemic, we had a mega plantation drive. It was throughout India, a mega program. And in Siliguri, I, along with the team members, we had planned to plant some herbal plants like neem, amla. And then every one of us, they brought some herbal plants and we planted them. It was really a successful program. It was an environmental awareness program. But recently, when the COVID war is very serious in India, we see that the oxygen scarcity is nationwide. I think that the program was really fruitful, because last year it was planted, and today we see the scarcity of oxygen. Each plant is supplying a huge oxygen, at least in the areas where we have planted trees. So in this way, we can do something for the nation. And I'm also associated to another program, which is Missing Education Program, which actually works for the education of the underprivileged students. In that program, what we did was we took a donation box to some private schools or privileged schools with the due permission of the principal, and then the privileged students and the principal school staffs, they donate the stationery items in the box voluntarily. And then we keep the box there for weeks, and then we collect it and take to the remote areas where the underprivileged students they live. And then we distribute the stationery items among those underprivileged students who are very poor. They cannot afford to buy all the stationery items. And when they received those items, they were smiling. And actually, we were feeling out of the world, the feeling of satisfaction by helping others. It was really nice. In the same way, we are related to a mission medicine program where our team members, we encourage each other to donate the unused medicines that are at home. And we donated in a box, and then we collected all those medicines and took it to the remote areas where the poor people, they could not afford or they didn't have facilities to buy the medicines. Then we distributed those medicines among those people. And they were really thankful and they were very happy to receive those medicines. And that was also an extraordinary feeling that we really felt by helping others. So this is the power of compassion. There are so many benefits of compassion. It actually reduces fear, anxiety, stress, and makes us more happier people. It adds meaning to life. We increase the speed of recovery. It promotes healing. But despite of that, we stop ourselves from being compassionate. Why? In my case, I have two little sons. Now, sometimes I fear of overloving them. Why? Because I think they might get spoiled or they might be dependent. And sometimes when my neighbors are too kind to me, some kind of suspicious nature pinches my heart. No, I stop becoming compassionate with them also. Now, these are the culturally acquired fears or the suspicious nature that actually stops us from being compassionate. So we need to restrict all this. We need to stop thinking from our head rather than start thinking from our heart. These are the ways how we can develop being compassionate. We can always live in the present rather than worrying about the future or regretting about the past. We can always stop being non-judgmental, which is quite tricky. We can always stay connected. We can always imagine what the person or the people is actually going through or facing in his or her real life. We can always think from the heart rather than from the head. We can always be authentic, more natural. We can always practice gratitude or being self-compassionate. But above all, I think spiritual awareness is very important because spiritual awareness brings about all-around development in a person, and that makes her a very compassionate human being. When we look at the world today, we see devastating pictures all around. And we think that the world truly needs compassion because compassion is a bond that unites humanity. It has the potential to build a global, compassionate community where every people will be responsible and care for each other. And then only lies the possibility of peaceful coexistence. And I positively hope that the youths today in this world will understand the potential of compassion, which truly negates and overcomes hatred and divisiveness, racism and communalism, xenophobia and exclusiveness that has really gripped this world like never before. So the biggest takeaway home message from today's episode is that compassion matters. Compassion is the essential element in our society that is vital for human survival. Humanity now needs to make a choice, a wiser choice that will change our life for the years to come. If we wisely choose global solidarity, then we will surely gain victory not only over coronavirus but also to all the future epidemics and the crises that will assail the humankind in the 21st century. We need to be compassionate, cultivate compassion, with love and gratitude, free from any ideology and obligations, irrespective of caste, race, culture, language, religion. Yes, we do not speak everyone's language, but the language of smile is similar to everyone. So, definitely, we can speak the language of smile and agree to disagree but still live peacefully. So let us all smile and make this world a beautiful place to live. So with this, I would like to wrap up here and extend my thanks to all the team members of Spiritual Awareness Journey for creating such a big opportunity and a platform where the seekers of truth can come and make their life even more meaningful. And equally, I would like to extend my thanks to everyone who have taken out the precious time and listened to me. Thank you. Stay safe. Let us stay connected, united, and fight against Corona. Thank you once again.
A big thank you to Dr. Pratima for your insightful words. Very, very beautifully put as well. I liked your message of the fact that compassion is contagious. If someone sees someone else being compassionate and performing an act of kindness, they are likely to also do the same, and this way it becomes contagious. Compassion attracts compassion. It's a very natural process, as you said, and a very, very big blessing that we have from God. Mankind is inbuilt with this compassion, so we should perform these acts of kindness and definitely expect nothing in return. Thank you very much once again to Dr. Pratima. Now, the Spiritual Awareness Journey is honoured to present our guest speaker of the day, our special guest, Mahatma Savidya Baiji. Mahatma Savidya Baiji is an enlightened saint from Haridwar in India. She is a disciple of spiritual master Shri Satpalji Maharaj, the spiritual head of Manav Dharam organization. She has successfully provided spiritual enlightenment for the past 2 decades in various parts of India, Kenya, South Africa, Canada, and Australia. Her mission is to uplift the soul of man by rendering spiritual discourses on the essence of all scriptures and teaching meditation and yoga to aspirants. It is a great honor to be in the presence of Mahatma Savidya Baiji, sharing with us today her profound experiences and deep spiritual understanding of this topic, compassion. Thank you to Mahatma Savidya Baiji.
Greetings to one and all. Thank you, Janvi, for introduction. Thank you, Arpana and Pratima, for wonderful words of inspiration and wisdom. It is my pleasure to be part of Spiritual Awareness Journey program. Compassion is a greater need to the world in the present time, as we globally connected and aware of different sufferings happening in the world. I would like to share my views on compassion through spiritual perspective. According to spirituality, everything and everyone in the universe is a manifestation of one supreme energy. In this context, we are connected with each other with one divine thread of energy. That's why sages proclaim Vasudeva Kutumbakam, one universal family. As being a part of universal family, we extend our feelings of love and care to all living beings. In Yoga Sutra, Patanjali Rishi has described 4 right attitudes that one is asked to cultivate in life to establish value-based society. The 4 right attitudes are Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekkha. First attitude is a Maitri, friendship. Friendship and love towards those who are happy. Second attitude is a Karuna, compassion. Compassion to those who are in any kind of suffering. Third attitude is a Mudita, happiness, joy, or a feeling of gratification, or to see others being virtuous, and making spiritual progress. Fourth attitude is upeksha, indifference towards evil. As Jesus said, resist ye not evil. So, one of the prescribed right attitude for mankind is compassion. Compassion means having awareness and kindness feeling to others' suffering and pain with a desire to elevate it. There are meaning three kinds of sufferings and also compassion too. First, first suffering is physical suffering. These sufferings are like hunger, sickness, natural disaster, poverty, etc. As an act of compassion, one can give food, medical treatment, shelter, donation, or any kind of material help. Second suffering is a suffering of mind. Suffering of mind is called klesha. These are pride, selfishness, cruelty, gossip, anger, hatred, and negative tendency, etc. The causes for these sufferings are weak or restless mind, or mind heading in wrong direction, or wrong company as well. As an act of compassion is to help a person to attain peace of mind, to show the right direction, and to help to withdraw from wrong company. Moral support with inspiring words or spiritual discourses help a person to give right direction in life. Spiritual self-realization knowledge brings oneness with universe that helps to overcome with selfish desire and not to run only behind the material pleasure. Meditation helps to control the mind, which brings peace and happiness within. So, spiritual knowledge, spiritual discourses, and meditation are the greatest act of compassion for mind's suffering. Third suffering is a karmic suffering. Our karmas play important role in the quality of our life. As you sow, so shall you reap. Every action has consequences. The action motivated by body or external influences lead us to the bondage, and the selfless actions performed for the benefit of others empowers freedom or liberation. Our karma lead us to the chain of birth and death. In spirituality, this is the biggest suffering to solve. As an act of compassion, spiritual masters and sages enlighten the heart of human and also teach the art of performing action which frees us from reaction of karmas and eventually attain nirvana liberation, the highest state of consciousness. Compassion can be performed at a physical level, at mental level, and also at a spirit level too. Most of us have a gross sense of compassion is to give food to the hungry. But the finer sense of compassion is to learn the art of pacifying someone's anger. And subtlest and the highest compassion is to enlighten the soul. Enlighten the soul, enlighten the universe. The motive of compassion divide compassion into three types. First is the pure motive compassion, the impure motive compassion, and the dark motive compassion. Compassion with the pure, we call it Sata. The compassion with the impure motive is Rajas, and the compassion with the dark motive is called Tamas. So first is a Sattvic or pure compassion. Those who is in a mode of Sattva or pure present can show selfless, unhindered, and sattvic compassion to one and all. They all help others in sufferings as a part of their inherent duty to mankind. Rajasic compassion or the impure compassion, a person who helps others and show compassion out of pride and egoism, vanity of selfish motives, or to show off their wealth and power. This kind of compassion usually conditional, unreliable, and unpredictable. The third compassion is a tamasic compassion or the dark compassion. When a person shows compassion, usually meaning to deceive others and cause them harm in the end, or to achieve some destructive end, is called a tamasic compassion. So, sattvic compassion is the true form of compassion. Universe is the manifestation of one absolute and ultimate reality. One who realized that truth in all in oneself, cultivate the vision of oneness and universal love. From that realization, highest, purest, and the noblest virtue of compassion manifest, which makes the world better place. Compassion, the noblest virtue, can be cultivated through spiritual growth, self-realization, and inner awakening. Let's have a look into the life of some people whose act of compassion changed the life of others. I would like to share one story which really touched my heart. Once a boy, after school, was going back to home. He saw one of his classmates whose school bag got torn and all the stuff scattered on the road. He went to he went there to help to collect the stuff and make him reach to home. The student invited him to have a tea and snack to his house. With the time, both of them became best friends. One day, that student held the hand with the tears in eyes and told his friend that the day you helped me on the road to collect my scattered stuff, that time I was in a very bad depression due to my family issues and I decided to commit suicide. But your friendly support stopped me to take wrong decision. You did not help me to collect my stuff, but also saved my life. Small act of compassion can save others' life. Another story from Mother Teresa's experience I would love to share in her words. One night, a man come to our house to tell that one family of 8 friends had nothing to not eaten anything for days. They had nothing to eat. I took enough rice for a meal and went their house. I could see the hungry faces of children. The mother took rice from my hands, divided it in a half, and went out. When she came back a little later, I asked her, "Where did you go? What did you do?" She answered, "They are also hungry." They were the people next door with the same number of children to feed and who did not have any food either. So that mother was aware of the situation. She had the courage and the love to share her meager portion of rice with others. In spite of her circumstances, I think she felt very happy to share with her neighbors the little I had taken her. Compassion does not have a barrier of any age. It does not need plenty of wealth too. Another mythology about compassion is of King Rantidev, who practiced compassion, charity, and love all his life. When he died, God's messenger came to take him to the heaven, telling him that because of unknowingly one or two bad karmas you did, we have to detour so that you pass by outside the boundaries of the hell and then continue on to the heaven. While they were passing by hell, the king heard the cries, suffering, and agonies from the hell. The king heard the voices from the hell requesting him, "Please stay here." The breeze touched by his virtuous body reduced the suffering and agony of the people in the hell. The king decided to stay in the hell as his presence is helping in suffering. He donated all his good karmas to the souls in the hell, so he didn't entitled to go heaven and can stay in hell forever. The moral of the story is you can entrench your noble character of compassion even after death. Compassion not only ensures depth and fulfillment and purpose in our life, but also has health and social benefits too. An act of compassion activates the pleasure centers in the brain. While showing compassion to others, our body secretes the bonding hormone oxytocin. Those who help others are healthier and more resistant to illness. Helping others can pull us out of sorrow and depression. Compassion strengthens the immune system and extend the life. Compassion can reduce the levels of our cellular inflammation. Spending time in volunteering make us feel we have more time and more money in life, increasing feeling of social connection as well. Greatest fulfillment comes from being connected with others and from helping others. Compassion is the ultimate expression of our highest self. If your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete, says Jack Conflict. And it is very true that we have to include self compassion. Compassion is the ability to show empathy, love, and concern to people who are in difficulty. And self compassion is the ability to direct the same emotions within and accept oneself, particularly in face of failure. Self-compassion helps to refrain from harsh criticism of the self, recognizing one's own humanity, or the fact that all people are imperfect and all people experience the pain. Self-compassion is a mature spiritual quality. Selfless act of compassion will help to bring healing and peace to others, to ourselves, and to the world. Something that our planet needs more of now, more than ever before. The power of prayer is immense and it is wireless to reach out to the entire world. And as an act of compassion, we will show to the world with the help of prayer. So we pray from the depth of our souls to give healing, peace, and love to all those who have been affected by virus and to all those who lost their beloved one in this pandemic. We pray to give divine strength and empower the frontline workers who are risking their lives every day to heal and treat the patients. I will conclude my speech with a soulful prayer in the pandemic situation which engulfed the world in suffering in and pain. O Almighty God, bring healing to the world, saving us from the dread. Rise up to your abode where peace and love prevail. May all be happy. May no one suffer. May no one become cause of others' suffering. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschit dukh bhag bhave. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
We're deeply, deeply grateful to Mahatma Savidya Baiji for her inspiring words. And just to follow on from how Mahatma Savidya Baiji ended her speech about peace for the world, we would like to request you all to join us for 2 minutes of meditation or prayers for the wellness and peace for all humanity here on earth. I wish to thank you each for your presence here on our Spiritual Talk platform today. We hope that today's episode has left you feeling inspired. Please feel free to drop us a note with your comments, and if you have any questions, in particularly for Mahatma Savidya Baiji, please email us at spiritualawarenessjourney@gmail.com. The email address is available in the chat box. Please feel free to send in any questions, and we will try to make sure these are addressed in our next episode of the Spiritual Awareness Journey program, which will be held on May the 22nd, 2021. Episode 8 will be on the topic of gratitude. We're wishing everyone a very happy Mother's Day, to all mothers and to all caregivers from around the world. A big thank you to our speakers, and thank you once again for joining us today. Thank you to our sponsor, Manav Dharam YouTube channel. I'm your host, Janvi Nanda, and from all of us here on the Spiritual Awareness Journey, our best wishes for a healthy and peaceful journey. Thank you very much.